Hello, everyone. Welcome to our kids call. I love that Plexus has a kids line, and I think it doesn't get enough attention sometimes. My name is Phyllis Anderson, and I am actually a retired registered nurse. I worked in the healthcare industry for 28 years. The last 22 years of my career, I spent in the emergency room. And what I learned working in the emergency room was our little guys would come in and they would be, kind of crying, like screaming sometimes with abdominal pain. And then it was our job to figure it out, right? There's a lot of things that can happen in that little belly. But let me just kind of say that a lot of times it was just constipation. They were really full of poop. And so here's the sad part is we had to poke them, we had to prod them, we had to scan their bellies. And one CAT scan, and I'm not telling you not to seek medical care, but one CAT scan is like 300 x-rays to their little tiny abdomen. And it is the last effort we went to, but sometimes we had to go there because ultrasound wasn't specific about things, and lab work looked okay, but they were still crying or writhing in pain. And so you don't want to miss appendicitis in a child. You don't want to miss anything in a child. So we would have to resort to that CAT scan. It's a lot of radiation, and little girls have little ovaries that are developing and all kinds of stuff. So, you don't want to have to do that if you don't have to. So, and then Dr. Wagner will be able to explain the treatments that we had in, that we have in healthcare, and they're so limiting, but what we have with Plexus is so amazing. And so, I am a huge believer in prevention over prescription, and I know what we have has changed a lot of, littles' lives on my team, anywhere from allergies to skin conditions to just amazing digestion and even behaviors. Okay. So I am going to turn the time over. I see Tamrah right now in Ireland, our sweet little special guest. They have a little testimony that they want to share with us tonight. So go right ahead,
Okay,
girls.
Ireland. They can hear you. So what's your name?
My name is Ireland.
And how old are you?
5.
Uh-huh. And before you used to... Yes, you do.
These.
Yes, you...
These.
Yes, you do. And what do you call these? This is your vitamin juices and your circle vitamins. So before Plexus, our daughter, gosh, for the last about a solid year, she was in and out of she was in and out of her pediatrician's office, always telling us that she was having a bee in the ear. And we thought, like, she's young. So I'm like, oh my gosh, she probably put, I don't even want to give ideas here, but I was thinking something was put there, and that's why our ears were hurting. And we'd check and there's nothing. And she kept telling me, bee in my ear, it's hurting. And she'd be coughing, go in, come to find out she has double ear infections. And this was happening, it happened once, and we're like, okay, I guess that can happen sometimes, right? They put her on antibiotics. Around this time, I had just started my own Plexus journey for my autoimmune stuff. Of course, being the good mommy I didn't even connect that, hey, guess what? She has a gut too. It might actually help. And so I kept taking her in, and get her on antibiotics again. Should be okay. A couple weeks later, she'd get a cough again. And then we're right back in there. And finally, I was sharing with my sponsor what was going on, and Lori was like, Tam, use the kids line. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So I ordered it. And honestly, because we've been through so much, I know we've been through so much already. I kind of was thinking, how could that help? But within like just a week, she was already saying that she was not, well, I noticed she wasn't coughing. I also noticed that she was sleeping solid. She wasn't wanting all the sweeties. Like, that was another thing I was noticing, was just, she's always going for sweet little things. And that wasn't it. She wanted what she calls her vitamin juice. And then we weren't going into the doctors. And I was like, okay, this is something crazy. It has now been a year, maybe a little further, but it's been a solid year that we have not been in to the doctor for anything like this, with a cold, with her sneezing. She has been around a lot of little kids, hasn't got the colds like the other little ones were. I've shared with a lot of mommies. I was like, hey, I am not a doctor, I'm just a mama, but I'm telling you what I can share is that before this, she was sick all the time. Now she is not sick all the time. And that's kind of what we have experienced. When I see that she's getting a little bit of a sniffle or something, I will just give her like 2 of the little vitamins, or I'll even double up. Like when we went traveling, we got to go international to Punta Cana, and I brought this with her, and we just doubled up on them, and she was a healthy little bug. So we're just very, very thankful. And yeah, Ireland, do you feel good with your vitamins?
Yeah.
I think the only issue we have is that I have to be like, no, they're not candies. We're just gonna, you know. But she loves them. And we do little like freezy things during the summertime with the juice, which is really good, the vitamin juice. So
I got to
there's some creative. Yeah. So what do you say, Ireland? Do you want to tell your friends? Do you want to feel good?
I want to feel good.
Take your vitamins.
Yay!
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys. Thank you, Ireland, for talking. We love to hear your voice, and we love to hear that your tummy feels good and that you feel good and you're not spending time in the emergency room or the doctor's office, right?
Yeah.
If you don't need
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Okay,
Thank you so
I
much.
love these testimonies. These testimonies I can just listen to all day long. So we've got another one, and it's Valorie, and we were hoping to see if her daughter would hop on, but she's doing volleyball. So we've got Mama here though, and we're gonna let Valorie share her story. Do you need me to unmute you, Valorie? Oh, here we go. You've got to unmute yourself. There you go.
There we go. All right. So I'm Val, and I too work in healthcare. I do x-rays and CAT scans and mammograms. So I about 5 years ago, Bailey was in second grade. So my daughter is 12 now, and she was in the second grade. And up until that point, from the moment she started school, she started really bad constipation, which is pretty common when kids start school. But it was real bad. At the beginning of every year, I had to tell the teachers, like, hey, you know, she might need to go to the bathroom often. And when she goes, she'll be in there for a long time, and please leave her alone. It was embarrassing, but I had to advocate for her because she was going to have problems. You know, she did have problems. Well, I really didn't think too much of like the gut health. I knew about gut health and such, but and I do all the x-rays and CAT scans to see all the poop backed up in the kids. But so she was hospitalized for 3 days. We took her to the regular ER where I worked, and we had to have her transported by ambulance to the children's hospital because they did not know what was wrong with her. They did test after test, and come to find out it was just a viral infection. But they too thought maybe appendicitis and all that stuff, but it was very scary. And after that, I was just like, you know what? Like, she's been sick a lot. She has this constipation problem, and I know gut health is a big thing. So I wanted to get her started on it. And so I started the multivitamin. At that time, we didn't have the drink. So I started her on the multivitamin and with the probiotics in it. And she literally hasn't had any constipation issues ever since. With through COVID, we stayed on that. I did add extra vitamin C gummy, and she's been great. Like, but we can tell because she's 12, so now she's in charge of taking her own medicine. And I can tell when she hasn't taken it for a while because like in the morning, she'll be like, Mom, I got to go to the bathroom before I can drive her to school. And it's going to be a while, you know? And I'm like, have you been taking your vitamins? So we know when she's not taking them. And so I just have to remind her, and I mean, it really worked. And so that prompted me to realize, hey, this really works. Maybe I should take it too. So then I started taking it. So I've also been taking it for about 5 years. We did have a little hiatus. I went through a divorce, and I realized, you know, I need to get back on it. And so does she. So in December, we started back after we were off for about a year, and it was rough, but it was what life brought us. So, and then, so in December, when we started back up, we started a whole lot of other products, and I started her on sleep. She now has transitioned to being 12 and wanting to talk to all her friends and all that stuff. And I just need her brain to calm down and her to relax a little bit. And I've heard that melatonin is not the greatest and maybe doesn't even really work. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try the sleep because Plexus works. So she takes the sleep and it worked for her. And so again, since it worked for her, I started taking the sleep too. So here we have it. We're both taking the same thing again. So yeah.
That's awesome, Valorie. Is she, I know, I think you told me she's not swallowing capsules or pills or anything yet. So she is
No.
taking with just the kids' vitamins.
Yeah,
Okay.
she still is just with the kids. And like I said, it's still working. It still is enough for her. I can still tell, like I said, when she doesn't take it, but it's really time for her to start, but she just refuses. And I'm not gonna, pick your battles. So I'm like, okay, you'll keep taking the chewables.
Yeah. And so you can see that even, cause and Dr. Wagner can talk about this too, is once we get to an adolescent, age at 12, 13, 14, the kids can transition to the adult version. And I do have a woman who can't swallow capsules. And so she opens her BioCleanse and puts it right in her Slim. And she said, I can't taste it at all. So, so that's cool to know. But
Oh,
anyway, yeah, just so you know, but, thank you so much. And, let's find
yeah.
Jessika, Dr. Wagner.
Yeah,
So
I'm
thank
sorry
you.
she was not available.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, you guys. This is so important. If anyone else has a testimony that they want to put in the chat about their kids, their grandkids, we would love to hear that and see that. And then I am going to turn the time over to Dr. Wagner.
Phyllis, I am still driving. I'm like 10 houses away from my house. So if anybody has a question, you can unmute yourself and ask a question really quick. I will then turn my camera on as soon as I park in my driveway.
Okay, we will do a little song and dance until then. But yes, any questions, if you guys want to raise a hand, I can call on you. I'm looking at something that Pam wrote in the chat, and she said, we also have a lady on our team that cannot swallow capsules too, and she opens them and puts it in her Slim. Yes. The other thing is Active also it has a strong flavor, so you can add your capsules there. I had people putting their Vital Biome, their ProBio 5, whatever hides it, or in yogurt, you can sprinkle it on top of yogurt. We say not on applesauce because the pH kind of degrades the efficacy of our products, just because of the pH. And so, all right, I'm seeing Patty is saying, yes, lots of skin issues cleared up with the kids' products. Yeah, I was hoping somebody would talk about like the eczema, the cradle cap, like.
I can talk about eczema, Phyllis.
Oh, who's that?
I'm here
Janelle.
now.
Oh, Janelle. Oh, okay. Hang on. Jessika.
I was just
Here
gonna say,
she
while
is.
Jessica hops on, I was just gonna say my kids were about Bailey's age when they started, but they could swallow capsules. So say they started at like 11 and 13 on the triplex. And my son was severely constipated. He was taking Miralax before I knew how awful it was, and now no longer struggles with that. And my daughter had eczema, horrible, especially in the winter because we live in Wisconsin, and would get strep throat every year. And she has maybe had one or two little flare-ups, but nothing like they used to be since she started. And I mean, she's 19 now, so this was years ago. And then hasn't had strep throat every year since. So, and they took the adult products at 11 and 13.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Janelle. I will now turn the time over to Dr. Jessika Wagner.
Hi. Okay. Sorry, guys. I was bringing my kids home from track practice. And so I've been listening the whole time, but needed to drive. So I am Jessika Wagner. I'm a board certified pediatrician. I'm a mom of 4 and gut health. Big fan of gut health. So I actually started Plexus. My baby was 5 weeks old. So my 4th baby, she's now 8. She just turned 8 last week. And I started because I just needed to kind of address a lot of things. But one thing that I really noticed was, so I was breastfeeding, and I, of course, looked at every single ingredient in there because that's what you do. Although I didn't care about, all the Skittles and Oreos I was eating, go figure. Doctors aren't perfect for sure. But I noticed that her illnesses and things like that. Like she just was way healthier than some of my other babies were. She nursed for longer. I had great milk supply when I started all of those things. So, but when she was about 18 months old, she started getting constipated. And I have been a constipated person my entire life. Like looking back at my childhood, it was a struggle. So the product, when they announced this X Factor Kids, you guys, I, like, as a mom and a pediatrician, my heart sang. Like I was so excited, and still, of all the multivitamins that you can find on the market for your kids, I would pick X Factor Kids hands down any day of the week. It is methylated, which means that it's in the absorbable form. So all your B vitamins, your folate, not folic acid, it's folate, are in forms that your body can use immediately without any conversion in. So that's what's in X Factor Kids. Full complement vitamin plus 5 strains of probiotics, not just one. Most children's probiotics available on the market have 1, maybe 2 strains of probiotics in them, and X Factor Kids has 5. So you're getting so much good stuff in for those kiddos. The dose is 1 tablet between 2 and 4, 2 tablets, 4 and up. I started my daughter on it when she was 18 months old, and we just did half a tablet until she turned 2 because she was already starting to get constipated then. And I also have given my kids ProBio 5 and BioCleanse, like basically since she was 9 months old when I started her on ProBio 5 and BioCleanse. This was before we had the X Factor Kids, right? And I just opened it and put it in a little bit of yogurt or milk and like fed it to her. So there's definitely benefits, right, to having those products as well. But some kids don't need them. She needs BioCleanse or she doesn't poop well. In addition to the X Factor Kids, but for so many kids, X Factor Kids and the Mega Kids microbiome drink are all they need. The Mega Kids drink has omegas in it, which are great for brain development. It has lutein and choline in it, which are for eye development and cognition. It has fiber in it, prebiotic fiber, which is good for the tummy. And all of these things they're just good for everyone, really. But it's so awesome that we have these products directly for kids. So as a mama, as a pediatrician, I fully am in love with them and totally recommend them to everyone. Couple of the things that were mentioned, Phyllis talked about puberty, like when we switch transition kids to the adult doses. If your kid needs BioCleanse and ProBio 5 before they hit puberty, please give it to them in addition to the kids line. Totally okay. Once your kid is well into puberty, so for girls, when they start their period, for boys, kind of it's when their voice drops. Those are the times when you could transition and treat your kid like an adult as far as the supplements go. So they can take the same doses you do. Before that, I would stick with the kids stuff or half the dose of what the adults would do. So there's that. For acute constipation. Now, I will say, I loved when Phyllis was like, all these kids would come in with belly pain. Okay. The number 1 cause of belly pain in kids is constipation, hands down. Hands down. I see a million kids with belly pain all the time. That's like one of the number 1 visits that we get in the urgent cares that I work in the office, anything. And almost always it's constipation. And so when you start talking about hydration is so important. You have to have enough hydration because if you are not drinking enough water, nothing's going to move through your gut because your body's going to absorb the water to keep for itself because every cell needs it. And there's not enough water left inside your colon for the poop to be soft. So 1, make sure your kid is hydrated. Remember that hydration is not just about water. You need electrolytes to drive the water into the cells where it needs to be. So Hydrate is a great product for that. And especially in the summertime. My kids just were at track practice in 95-degree weather. They all had their water bottles full of Hydrate. Actually, not water, Hydrate. Because they're out running in 95-degree heat. So that's another thing to keep. If your kid struggles with constipation, you have to think about hydration. Making sure they have enough fiber. which is in fruits and veggies. So we always want to go there. But we also have products like lean protein shakes that have good, clean sources of protein and fiber and omegas and prebiotics and fully methylated vitamins. So that's another great product to offer for your kiddos, especially if you have picky eaters that will not eat vegetables. I have one of those at my house. I have 3 pretty good eaters and 1 super picky eater. So those are some of the other things that you can do to help your kiddos who have tummy issues. The gut, as you've heard mentioned, is not just about pooping. The gut impacts 80% of your immune system is actually in your gut, which is why if your kids are getting sick all the time, addressing the gut makes a difference. Just like Ireland told us, right? You make her tummy happy and she doesn't get sick anymore. So that's really important. The other thing is melatonin, serotonin, every single hormone in your body is regulated by your gut. So if your gut is out of balance, all the rest of it is. So if you have kids that are struggling through puberty, if you have girls with horrible periods, if you have boys with awful acne or girls with awful acne, addressing their gut is going to make a difference in all of those things too. So there you go. I don't know. What else do you want me to say? I feel like this is something I could just go on and on and on and on and on and on forever because it's so important and it's actually really simple to fix. Like it really doesn't have to be that complicated. I will say I still use Miralax for acute clean out sometimes. If that kid is coming in so much pain from constipation, we just have to get it all out of them quickly. Miralax is great for that, but I absolutely hate anyone saying chronic Miralax. If anybody tells you to do daily Miralax, please turn and run the other direction and find somebody else because daily Miralax is not okay. Address the root cause, balance the gut, hydrate, get enough fiber in your diet, move your body, and things will get better.
Whew, I love that. And yeah, you're right. I'm the same way. We could talk all day about gut health. So there are some skin questions in here. So
Okay.
you said that lots of skin issues cleared up for their kids because of the products. Can you address like cradle cap, colic, and eczema specifically?
Yeah. Yes. So cradle cap and eczema, cradle cap in particular is oftentimes actually yeast, but it's seborrhea. And so it's a form of eczema, but it has all the oil glands from your scalp, right? Because that's where your hair is. And so addressing the gut. Now, sometimes in the newborn period, you guys, cradle cap's just going to happen. And I'm going to be honest. Sometimes people are like, oh, just put Probio 5 on it and it's a magic miracle. I also am not going to tell you that Plexus is going to fix every single thing for every single person on the first try, just so we're clear, right? So it definitely will help. It's not going to hurt to start your kids on some of these kind of things. But the number one thing that helped my kids with cradle cap, honestly, was argan hair oil. And so sometimes you just have to balance also the microbiome on their skin and give them the right things there. Because we have microbiome on our skin, in our mouths, all the way from mouth to anus, right? It's everywhere. But your skin, part of what, if you have eczema, especially too, right? One, it can be allergic, which that's a sign of food. It can be, food allergies can be related to that. Food allergies clearly is because of inflammation in your gut. And immune dysregulation, which is also rooted in the gut. So that's one of the things addressing the gut can help with, but also that's how we get rid of toxins. So if your kid is really backed up and they're not pooping their toxins out, the toxins are going to come out their skin in various rashes, eczema, acne, all of these different kinds of things. And so that's why skin and gut are related. Does that make sense? Did I answer that question adequately? And then what was the other one?
Sorry. What did I say? Maybe
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
there was one in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, cradle cap colic.
Oh, colic.
Yeah.
Oh, colic. You guys, let me tell you, the newborns are my very most favorite part. Like if I could just take care of kids from birth to age 1, I think that would be my like sweet spot as a pediatrician. But I can't tell you how many parents come in at 3-4 weeks and they're like, I think my baby has colic. He just cries all the time. everything we do, he's not happy, or they think that they're worried about reflux, right? Because they're spitty or different things like that. Every single time, my answer is probiotics. And in babies, I recommend a multi-strain probiotic that is in a dropper with no other, very few other ingredients. You don't want fillers or anything like that. So a lot of them actually are in vitamin D oil or sunflower oil. But I always tell the parents, find a multi-strain probiotic, not one strain, not two. You need to find 5 or 6 strains in a baby probiotic. And a lot of them want acid reflux medicine. And as a whole, in general, Western medicine is moving away from anti-acid medicines in babies, which is a great move because they're not helpful and they can be harmful. But parents still sometimes want them. And I'm like, listen, try the probiotic for a week. And if it's still really bad, you can call me back and we'll talk about medication. Because there's still every now and again, very, 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 very rarely somebody who actually needs it. I never have parents call back. Never. I can't tell you the last time a parent called back in a week and said, I need the medicine. Because probiotics and rebalancing their gut makes such a huge difference. So if you have a baby that is crying all the time or just fussy or spitty or any of those kind of things, they might still spit up. By the way, there's such a thing as a happy spitter. Babies who spit up but are growing great and are happy, that's just a laundry issue, not a medical issue. So you just let your baby spit. But if they're in a lot of pain and fussy and crying and crunching up, probiotics all day long. And then I also usually recommend, especially if they're breastfed babies, mama needs probiotics because they got their microbiome from their mom, right? And so I always then tell the moms that they need probiotics too and rebalance their gut.
Oops, I love that. And I feel like sometimes just because now I have a daughter-in-law and a couple little babies, I just feel like it's nothing that the mom did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just you've got dysbiosis, big deal. And we get dysbiosis for many different reasons. And so I feel like it's just let go of any kind of shame around it and just say, try this probiotic,
Yep.
So
absolutely.
yeah, there is a question in here about warts, or I'm sorry, not a question, but one of her daughters several years ago had a nasty wart on the end of her elbow. And after a month of the chewable vitamins, it just went away. 2 months, it was gone completely.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so what I've heard is warts are viruses and that they should be, it's a simple virus. And so our body's natural immune system should be able to fight these off. So when you see a wart developing, it's kind of like a signal. Would you agree or disagree? Something's off in your gut microbiome that you're not able to fight off a wart. So I don't know. And more reason for gut health. So
yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let me see. Julia has a great story. I hope you guys are reading the comments here. She had a son with febrile seizures and asthma. ProBio 5 BioCleanse Mega X were very significant in his life, helping him just get rid of that. Seasonal allergies, and then of course just being healthier. No more prunes for constipation. She uses the Ease and Lean through braces treatment. That's really good. And she also gives it to her dog. There is a Crunchy Pets Facebook website, FYI, side note. Let me see if there's anything else here. You guys are amazing. Baby only got cradle cap when I ran out of probiotics. That's interesting. Okay. 10 to 11-year-old grandson with migraines. What would you recommend?
So if they're not currently taking anything, the best place to start for any kid is the kids line, because the kids line honestly fixes a lot of things. There's a possibility, especially in a 10 to 11-year-old, they might be starting to have a few of those hormonal changes. So, and I'm assuming that they've been evaluated by a doctor and we know that this is simple migraine and that kind of thing. Please make sure, because migraines in little kids can sometimes signify other things. So definitely, if you haven't had it evaluated by a doctor yet, do that first. But the the kids line is always a great place to start. Migraines sometimes can be a hormone imbalance, and hydration, of course, always hydration for any type of headache. But that might be a kid that I would start on Slim to regulate blood sugar, which impacts every single hormone. We know so many people who have had migraine relief because of Slim. And so I would do kids line and half a dose of Slim for that 10 to 11-year-old grandson, especially if he's like still physically sort of immature, like he's pre-pubertal for sure. Just do half a stick.
Okay. And also I've heard magnesium can help with migraines as well.
Oh
which
yeah,
is found in our diet.
100%. Yes.
Okay.
So magnesium, and oftentimes multiple forms of magnesium, which we have magnesium hydroxide in our BioCleanse, and that becomes magnesium ascorbate when you pair it with the vitamin C in the body. But that also might be a kid who needs other forms of magnesium too, like magnesium glycinate or 3-in-8 or those kind of things. So, but yes, that's a great point.
Okay, awesome. I see something here. Chris is saying she started her daughter when she was 12 on the products because she was always having stomach pain, severe anxiety, depression, chronic UTIs since she was 3. Oh, I have a great story of UTIs and a little girl who was having febrile seizures from this. The kids line, she no longer has UTIs, you guys. No more febrile seizures, no more sickness. It's amazing. Okay. So many other things. She's now 19 and won't go a day without the products. I love that. Spark in her eyes came back just after a couple of weeks. These products are amazing. Not a kid, but my husband used to get really bad migraines to the point of puking. Gave him Plexus Slim Active Probiotic Vital Biome Hydrate. His migraines are almost non-existent. Yeah, so many great
Hydrate for sure. And definitely in teens, like pubertal teens or adults, active for sure, because the vasodilation from the nitric oxide can be huge for migraine relief. Yeah, I would be a little gun shy about using that in a 10-year-old unless he's already drinking caffeine.
Right.
Every kid is different.
Yeah, if they're drinking Monsters or Celsius or anything like that, guys, switch them on over to Active, please.
Please.
Or Starbucks, give them Active. They will love it. And it tastes good and it's so healthy. Lots of antioxidants and things. So you guys, this has been amazing. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Dr. Wagner. Thank you, Valorie. Thank you, Tamrah in Ireland. We're so glad that everybody was here, and we will have this recording so that you can pass it along to your friends and family. So thanks again, everyone. We'll see you later. Bye.